Hey everyone, and welcome back for a new favorites list. Top 10 favorite games of all time. This is my list for my personal top 10 favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time. Enjoy the music in the background from Tekken. First of honorable mentions, that didn't quite make the list of my top 10, the Devil May Cry Trilogy, which is definitely a true classic series that I recommend to anyone that gets a chance to play the original Devil May Cry. Next is a game that will always hold a special place for me, and that is the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, which is easily great, and it's what made me a fan of the Dragon Ball games, video games. I was always a fan of the anime series. I was always indifferent about a lot of video games based on animes, but this is a game that got me to start giving more a chance. Next is a game that you get when you combine elements of Devil May Cry and elements of Final Fantasy together, at least in my opinion. It's definitely, in my opinion, one of the most criminally underrated games on the PS2. Next honorable mention is Chaos Legion, which is a great game that I personally highly recommend to check out if you get a chance. Now, it's starting to go up a little in price, so you might want to look into it now while you have a chance. Next is my personal favorite game in the Fatal Frame series, honorable mention, and that is Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, which is an incredible series, of course, of survival horror games. Very different than most traditional survival horror games. Of course, the game comes from those at Tecmo and, of course, Team Ninja. Next are some games that I don't have physical cases for, unfortunately. First, definitely an underrated game, Phantasy Star Universe. Armored Core 2, which was one of the very first PS2 games I ever played. And definitely a really fun mech fighting game. Well, not really fighting game per se, but there are definitely elements in it. Next, another criminally underrated RPG game, Dark Cloud. My personal favorite of the Yu-Gi-Oh games, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelist of the Roses. And the only GTA game I personally actually liked, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And here's the last of the honorable mentions. Such a great series, which is why it gets multiple honorable mentions. First one, Silent Hill 3, which of course, as you know by now, I love the Silent Hill series, and I even did best to worst ranking them. Next up, in my opinion, the most underrated of the franchise, Silent Hill 4, The Room. And last of the honorable mentions, Silent Hill Origins, which I only more recent time finally got the opportunity to try the game out, and it's actually pretty solid in my opinion. Now, coming in at number 10 is a game I do have the disc for, but it's currently inside my PS2, which is currently stored away, and I don't feel like going through the whole process of getting the game out. Coming in 10th place for me personally of favorite PS2 games of all time, Soul Calibur 2, which is, of course, one of my personal favorite Soul Calibur games of all time. Next, coming in 9th place, in a tie, one of only like maybe two ties. And the first of those two games tied for 9th place, Final Fantasy XII, which is in my top 10 favorite Final Fantasy games of all time, of course. Now, personally, I recommend, if you get a chance, and you've never played it, pick this game up, or pick up the HD remaster, Zodiac Wars, or whatever. But personally, this is a great game, and I actually think it's aged very well. You can tell it really pushed the PS2 to its limits graphically. And definitely an incredible game. Tied with it in 9th place, from Namco Bandai, Tekken 5, which is easily, probably has the most content of any of the Tekken games, with full arcade versions of Tekken 1, 2, and 3, Tekken, the Devil Within, of course, and so much more content. It's kind of ridiculous, actually, how much in a fine game, and I miss those days. Nowadays, it's all about DLC, unfortunately. I miss these days, this era. But that's it for number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the debut game of my personal favorite game franchise of all time. Coming in at number 8 favorite PS2 game of all time is Kingdom Hearts 1, which of course over the years Kingdom Hearts has become my favorite. My number 1 favorite PSP game of all time is of course Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And easily in my probably top 3 favorite DS games is Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. I know, confusing titles, but whatever. But Kingdom Hearts 1 will always hold a special place for me personally, which is why it comes in 8th place. Next, coming in 7th place, another member of the Soul series. Coming in 7th place, Soul Calibur 2. Which is definitely an all-time classic, and it's aged very well, in my opinion. It's definitely a game that deserves, and this was actually the port that I originally first owned was the PlayStation 2 version, mainly because of Heihachi, plus I had a PS2 before original Xbox and GameCube. So, that's why I own this version first. Though, Xbox version, in my opinion, is the best port overall, gameplay-wise. Still, I have a special place for Soul Calibur 2. At 7th. Coming in at 6th place. Maybe considered somewhat controversial, but whatever. Coming in 6th place of 6th favorite game on the PS2, Tekken 4. Comes in 6th place. In my opinion, the most underrated game of the entire Tekken franchise. This game deserves a remaster, just like Tekken Tag Tournament got. Heck, even Tekken 5 got an upgraded version in Dark Resurrection, which is probably my top 3 favorite PSP games. And of course the online version, which you can get on actually PS3 of Dark Resurrection as well, Soul Calibur 2 both got updated. But poor Tekken 4 didn't, and it deserves more respect than it gets. Coming in 5th place, from Kojima, at 5th. Zone of the Enders, which is a true classic in my opinion. This game deserves so much more respect than it gets. This game was great, and the fact is that you got a special demo disc for Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty was also really cool. But I love this game to this day. I mean, honestly, it's just awesome. There's, of course, the actual game, and there's the demo disc. But that's my 5th favorite game for the PS2. A criminally underrated game, in my opinion, that I have personally beat from beginning to end over 20 times. I love this game, with bad dialogue and all. Next, coming in 4th place is the only other tie. Tied at 4th place, first from, of course, which I'm currently placing an order for a reproduction, of course, case for it. Tied at number 4 is Silent Hill 2. Which is easily one of the 2 best Silent Hill games, along with the original Silent Hill. This game is superb. It's so well done and executed in the storytelling aspect. And if you see this little bit here, that is a mark from Blockbuster. This was actually a game I picked up years ago when Blockbuster was going out of business, and I bought on clearance from Blockbuster. I miss them, honestly, but that was great. I was so happy to get my hands at the time on Silent Hill 2 for my personal collection. And I will always have a special place for this game as well as the franchise. Tied with it, in 4th place, Resident Evil 4. Which is, of course, many people's opinions, including Yahtzee, best Resident Evil game of all time for me. Personally, it's maybe my third favorite Resident Evil game of all time. It tends to go back and forth with Code Veronica between second and third place. But, of course, my number one favorite of all time is, of course, Resident Evil 2. But Resident Evil 4 is such a great gameplay aspect, and actually, it's still, I think, graphically, looks pretty good for its age, honestly, though you can always buy a remastered version, of course, on current gen, whether it be the Switch, the Xbox One, or the PS4. You have many different consoles. Heck, this game has been ported to like 11 or 12 consoles, if I'm not mistaken, which is insane. Now, coming in at number 3, third favorite game from the PS2. In third place, Final Fantasy X, which was, of course, the first fully voice-acted game in the Final Fantasy series. And it was a huge deal when this game came out. Heck, if you look at sales numbers, and I mean, there's a reason I've gone out of my way. I have this game, like, I have the remastered version on Vita, on PS3. Eventually, I will probably get the Switch version and the PS4. That's how much I like Final Fantasy IV. I will buy it on anything it's released on. Same for Final Fantasy VIII. But that's my third favorite. Now, to see the silver place. Number 2 favorite game on the PlayStation 2. In second place, Kingdom Hearts 2. Which is, in my opinion, personally, probably my number 2 favorite of the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Not only my number 2 favorite Kingdom Hearts game of all time, and as now you know, my number 2 favorite Kingdom Hearts, or rather, PlayStation 2 game of all time. I always did like how the holograph and stuff of the cover art from the early games, sadly, they did away with, and they never did these cool shiny covers in Kingdom Hearts 3, which kind of sucks. But of course, this is an incredible game and has actually aged pretty well. Mechanically speaking, it's actually still, in my opinion, probably in the top 3 best games in the franchise in combat. For me, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and Kingdom Hearts 3. Then somewhere right behind in like 4th place would be Dream Drop Distance, in my opinion. But this will always hold a special place for me. And I will never forget the first time I came across Organization 13 and getting to fight for the first time, Xemnas was awesome. Coming in at number 1, I'm showing you because I don't have the original PS2 version, I have the PS3 remastered version in my collection. Coming at number 1, favorite game for the PS2, though I'm using the remastered version for PS3, Tekken Tag Tournament comes in at number 1. Not only is Tekken Tag easily in my top 5 favorite, if not top 3 favorite 3D fighters of all time, it is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite Tekken game of all time, and my number 1 favorite PlayStation 2 game. This was a launch title. This was the very first game I ever bought for the PS2, was Tekken Tag Tournament. Which is probably one of the reasons also I have a very biased opinion on Tekken Tag Tournament. But with that said, those are my top 10 personal favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time list. Stay tuned in the near future. In a few weeks from now, I'll probably be doing my top 10 favorite original Xbox of all time games. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoyed the music in the background from Lily's stage in Tekken Dark Resurrection.